You know what it is, the Front Left Podcast, Front Left of All Conversations. You got myself, Taz, and I'm joined with
Trick and Josh. Yeah, go for it.
and Josh. I forgot his own name, you know.
This is Josh today, man.
But yeah, and we've got two guests in the building.
Come on.
Got the Group Chat podcast.
This is actually a full group chat today. I want to see memes flying and stuff.
Someone's getting rinsed.
Go on. Get it in early, get out
Yeah,
the way.
go on, you guys introduce yourselves.
Yeah, so obviously myself, Errol, and
Marcel. That's always how it goes.
yeah, obviously.
The Group Chat podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
How are we, guys? How
You
are we
need to put a
today?
little ping, you know, like when you get messages. So Jake will edit that in, man.
Yeah, man. How is everyone anyway?
Go on,
I'm going to speak for myself. I'm all good as can be, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Cracking on with life as normal.
Well, I was gonna ask you as well, just to be, what are you doing gym-wise at the minute?
At the minute,
Actually, that's a
really not working. I've got the kitchen and we're doing the meal prep for deliveries and that's it.
Oh,
at the
you used to
minute.
do meal prep?
Yeah.
That's good.
Actually, before you get into that, people might not know, so you maybe need to explain.
Oh, yeah.
Drop that.
Cheeky plug.
Bodyhealth Kitchen, healthy food, healthy meal preps, but it's not like the sort of shit that I eat. It's actually kind of like exciting food. Food that's not so basic.
Okay.
Where
We
can we
deliver
find it?
twice a week, and well, you can find us on Instagram, Bodyhealth Kitchen, and we deliver probably a lot further than we should deliver. We deliver anywhere and everywhere at the minute. We've been on some missions delivering food.
Okay.
But I would be really busy, so
Yeah.
I'm kind
God,
of grateful
innit?
for
That's
that
good.
because without that, I'd have nothing going on at the moment.
That was born out of lockdown as well, innit? More than
That's
anything
the
else.
first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, serious?
Because this was another thing I was going to pick your brain on as well. Like, we've been boys since we was kids, do you know what I mean? So any kind of ideas that we've both had back and forth in terms of just like projects or things that we want to do, we always kind of just bounce and soundboard off each other. I remember floating the idea to you. I was like, yo, you should be doing meal preps for people ages ago.
I thought it was like one of them. It's straightforward. I
Yeah.
cook for myself. It's just where I'm cooking, like say, 3 meals. It's doing that times 100. Like there is so much depth to cooking food in bulk.
So, with your meal preps, how many meals does a person get a day?
As many or as few as they want. Some people will grab like some people will grab 1 or 2 meals off us. Some people, generally people will grab up to 24 meals a week, which would be 4 meals a day over 6
That's
days.
not so bad. Is that like, okay, that's actually decent.
Yeah.
So you do all the macro
Work all about
nutrients and,
everything. There's all the calories. The macros are all worked out. Come stick it on the boxes. If anyone wants any more or less, that can also be catered for.
Okay.
Pretty much cover all boxes, and then we're expanding with that. So we've started with breakfast as well. Breakfast, all your daily meals, and at the time we started it, just before this lockdown, or just before the second lockdown hit, we've actually got a sit-in venue that's not being used now. So we were offering coffees and shakes and stuff. But that's gone to shit, so we don't really know what we're going to do with that because this is that busy now. We physically couldn't accommodate both
Yeah.
the delivery side of things, the meal prep, and having people coming and sitting in because it would require a full-time member of staff, and then with that comes wages and so on and
in
so
terms
forth.
of like delivering and stuff, do you do that yourselves or do you have like someone else?
Yeah, so
to-
there's 3 of us basically. We handle everything. We all kind of take what areas we've sort of claimed as our own and get out delivering Wednesday and Sunday nights.
What's your area then?
I've been doing this. Well, I've been doing. Where do I start? All of Smith Down, Wavy Tree. There's a couple actually not far from my 5 ways. Up towards the Dingle. There's a couple of lads who come and collect from us, and then over the water. We've had a big round over there.
Oh, yeah?
So we've been doing. It's worth our while going over there because we've had maybe 7 or 8 people consistently ordering from over the water.
So, with like the meals that you prepare, how does that work? Like, who's going to cook what? Like, do you have like a plan of...
Do you know what?
There's a method to it though, isn't
There's a
there?
bit of structure to it now. Yeah, it's just sort of happened.
Okay.
So I'm not going to make out like I'm top chef. One of the lads handles all that.
Yeah.
My role is more kind of boxing things, weighing food out and boxing it up.
That's important though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point behind it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm in charge of the board. I'm good with numbers, so I get left with how many meals who's getting what, who's come through with the payments, etc., etc. Making sure we don't do not enough, which has happened, or we don't end up with like 20-30 meals over, which again has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's good,
so-
but it's a lot of work.
Do people freeze these meals or?
No. So this is why we deliver twice a week.
Okay.
We deliver twice a week so that it's fresh. So we cook food on a Saturday. So we prepare food on a Saturday, cook all the meat, the veg, everything else on a Sunday, get it out Sunday night / Monday morning. And then we do the same process again Tuesday / Wednesday.
Okay.
So at the minute, it's actually like a full 4-day-a-week job.
Okay.
12 hours each time.
Yeah. So you give them half one and then half the next.
half, yeah.
That's actually quite decent.
So is that covering like your other, what at the minute would be deemed as losses, because obviously you're not doing
As
the gym
far
sides?
as my personal wages,
Yeah.
is it? Fuck, I'm on a big loss at the minute.
Yeah. See, COVID's got everybody on a loss right now.
But it's okay, because I've been given crumbs and I've been told, to go and live on monthly what I was earning. Monthly what I was earning weekly, yeah. That's what it worked, yeah. So, it's all good. It just kind of softens the blow a little bit, but it's still shit.
Definitely. But I think that's a good thing in just the sense that you've had to get creative and you've just been through in the deep end. And you've still managed to just make something out of pretty much nothing, really. Do you know what I mean? Just your own ingenuity.
Shit, which I'm going to do.
Exactly, though. You've
So
got
it's easy to do. I know enough people who've just kind of hit a bit of a depression and can't even be asked getting up in the morning.
That's what I was going to ask you, man. How are you staying in such a positive mindset at the moment with everything that's going
This
on?
podcast is a facade, man. Don't watch it. I'm honest, innit? It's hard.
I get that,
Innit? 100%.
No matter who asks or what, is everything okay?
Yeah.
In fact, that's a man's thing to
Innit?
do.
But I put on my phone voice to everybody at the minute. Hi, yes, it's Errol. Yeah, everything's calm. Bro, if
If
you knew.
one, I ain't being that negative person, and two, after people asking it, being polite because they feel obliged to ask in a time like this. And I actually asked, I could tell you, everything's not okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's not,
saying
man.
that ask now kind of thing.
Yeah. I think for me, I've kind of changed my mindset. I'm kind of taking it day by day, but because before and maybe the previous first lockdown we had is maybe more trying to think of the end goal, and that's when things get on top of you. So for me, I'm trying to do it day by day, but even within the days that are long, I just try and break it up and just be like, these 3 hours are going to be this, these 3 hours are going to be that, these 3 hours are going to be
You've
that.
got to have a task for each day.
Yeah.
You've got to have a reason to get up and get outdoors,
Yeah.
whether that be for your own personal, I'm going to go out on a walk, or some kind of business. You've got to have something for each day or for each week.
Yeah. So mine has been like trying to hit, like today was, I think it was 11.5k just walking.
Yeah.
So I'll be like,
Number of steps or mile?
something that was distance or steps. So I'll be like, I'm gonna hit this today before I do anything, and then that'll set me up for the day, and I'm fresh. Then the next day, I know what I'm doing.
Like that.
So I've got a plan. So I know like at least 5 out of 7 days I'm getting that fresh air, and that just gives me that kick, regardless of whether I've got to do it like way early because I've got stuff to do in the morning or the evening time. I'm just like, I need to get out and get that bit of fresh air.
So in my mind, I think, honest question, did any of you think we would still be here?
Yeah, I knew.
Initially in March, no.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
Like way back at the very, very beginning.
You thought it was just going to be the 2 weeks,
Yeah,
just
I
never
flatten the
thought it'd be
curve,
2
yeah?
No,
I thought it was
bullshit. I
gonna
never thought it was going to be 2 weeks.
Nah, Josh was
In the
like,
beginning,
people
but
were
like,
You mean after our tier 2? You mean back to the...
No,
I'm talking March, I'm
So
talking
it's like
March,
last
bro,
year.
like...
Way back at the start, people were like, no, we'll be back to normal by June.
Yeah,
I was
people were saying
you
that.
know what, 2-3 months.
I feel like that's the optimism in everybody,
That
innit?
second lockdown was spoke about. We're in this for the long run. We still be in this shit this time next year. I want to bet on someone over that as well.
Do you know what's funny with you saying that? I actually, when it first came in, I was thinking about it. And I was thinking, if we go into a lockdown, first of all, you need to go into a lockdown. Then you need to have the peak. Then you need to have a vaccine. Then you need to come out the lockdown. Then you need to have the come down of how everything used to be. And then to get back to where you're going, it might actually be 2 years. I didn't want to say it to anyone because like some people would be like,
Press the fuck out of people from early though, innit? No,
but then
100%.
I thought about it. Then I was like, right, it might be like 2022 kind of thing. But
exactly. I think so.
I feel like I've just
think
lost
so.
the last 2 years of my 20s, yo, so I feel like I
We're
should be
gonna
able to...
lose another 2 more. Don't worry about it.
That's realistic.
Yeah,
I'd rather
being
that
so
approach.
being so realistic with it, because in the beginning, I was having this conversation with Ola, and like even though I said 2 weeks,
Big up Ola in the room
yeah,
as well,
big
by
up
the
Ola,
way,
big
man.
up Ola. Even though, so I said, even though I said it was 2 weeks, I did call after being that it's going to be a year, and then I kind of deeped it because you need to think of it now, like it's not just a vaccine. You need to think about how many businesses have gone under. Like I was telling people at the beginning when furlough first came about, I was like, look at furlough as a redundancy package. Don't look at it as you're getting paid to be like, to go back to work. And I remember when furlough first happened, I always have this other debate with my boy, and he was like, "No, furlough's good. It's gonna help strengthen the economy." I was like, "Fam, you're a dick." If you actually thought like furlough, because people, that's what I'm saying. He had the same mindset of a lot of people thinking, "Oh, I'm going to use furlough. I'm not doing no work. I'm using that money and I'm still going to spend." So he was like, "It's strengthening the economy." No, it's not strengthening the economy. The only people strengthening is Jeff Bezos and Netflix. Like, you need, not, it really is true because,
Amazon,
yeah, it is.
Well, I seen it. Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
No, I seen an article today, and I don't even know where. I think it must have been on the Daily Mail or something like that. But it was like 10 of the richest people in the world have made £500 billion worth of profit
Over COVID.
or since the
poor
COVID.
people
Do you know
whose
what I mean?
expenses you no longer have
And
businesses.
like, not to like, I ain't trying to race bait anybody, but the faces on those pictures ain't none of them brothers were black. Do you get me? So I was like, that's not money in our pockets right now.
It's
either,
not
do you
really
know
in
what I
our
mean?
pockets,
Like,
but at the same time, it's, you can't hate on them because the money that they're getting are things that are sought after in a pandemic. So you need to think of it now.
Would they put themselves in the right
Do you know
lane for
what?
some of that stuff though?
Yes and no. Maybe at the very top of that list, but a lot of big businesses are allowed to still crack on as normal.
Yeah, 100%.
Regardless of this shit. I want to give an example from this week. So somebody who is going to remain nameless, not that anybody here knows him anyway. A mate of mine works in Jag. I don't care if I'm out in Jag because it is what it is. They've had 104 positive cases this week and they can still crack on as normal. And cars, as far as I'm concerned, are not essential. But small businesses such as ours with 0 cases, we've had to shut.
That's mad.
And that speaks volumes. Money talks and all
Yeah,
of
it
this.
does.
Yeah, it does, it does, it does, it does.
100%.
It does. Like, now you're making me think like, oh shit. Do you know what? I thought people were going to start rioting, to be fair. I'm still waiting for, like, we read something the other day where Italy have just opened all their restaurants.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
50 or like, was it like,
They were like,
was it
fuck it.
50 or like
It weren't as
500?
many as
Was
was
it-
put out there, but yeah, a lot. Italy, Poland, and then there's massive riots at the minute in Holland and in Russia.
Like, oh, no, but that Russia one, shout out to Mac, because he didn't believe me, and I'm glad you said it. Because I said Russia, they want to kick Putin out. Like, that's what they're going for. They're like, nah.
Good
but,
luck to them.
But they love Mac.
Oh, yeah.
Do
Not fuck about.
around.
Nah,
Yeah,
they
they
don't, bro.
don't.
But good luck to them.
But-
Because they've been indoctrinated in a communist like system for a long time, bro.
Yeah.
So when they see all this stuff, it's like it's just ramping up for the rest of the world, and they're just like, nah. If we don't push back and kick back, the rest of the world kind of won't follow suit. If the rest of the world kind of just aimlessly walk into this, they'll be like how we was in the 60s and 70s, and that's not a good look for anybody because
Yeah.
they've lived and experienced that type of regime.
It's
If you get
different
me.
for Russia because the guy who's imprisonated now, he actually survived a chemical attack. Like, so they want Putin out and they want this guy to be like the next in line. But this is people about Russia. They will kill you. Like, they will poison you. It's not here where you need to do a referendum. like you can't. It's not like here, man. Like, they will actually snuff man's. Like, that
It's
is.
only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Someone who's a little bit unstable, who's lost the job, they've lost the business, they've lost the livelihood, who's got nothing to, a dangerous man is someone with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Someone's going to flip and someone up in power is going to get it.
See, I was
I'm
thinking
kind of
this.
like that, like low-key
I
hoping
was-
for it.
So I thought it would have happened by now.
Nah,
Because there's poor.
Do you know what
and
showed
now
me?
there's a new bracket.
Go on, say that again.
There's a new bracket of poor.
Oh,
where
yeah.
people now even
Everyone's
past,
shifted down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
past way past what.
But you know what has made me start to think it won't happen? The amount of compliance that we're seeing from people. And I'm not saying that it's undue compliance by any stretch.
People are bitches.
But
That's a bold statement, but I'll make it.
yeah, I hear that.
Conceded defeat.
Yeah, no, because I'm alright in what you're thinking. No, in my mind, it's more a case of just the natural compliance and the way everybody is kind of. At first, it's like.
Resistance.
Well, not even necessarily the resistance. It's just at first, we're going to have to bring in these measures. So social distance, eventually social distance isn't enough. Now
Yeah,
it's about,
yeah.
We need you to wear masks. Masks are going to be mandatory. All right. So I'm not necessarily for or against masks per se.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this right now, yeah. If you're so like much of an advocate for this mask, let me fart in your face and tell me you don't smell it. What? No, really though? Because that's the God's honest truth. Because if you can't smell the fart, then I'm more likely to say, yeah, I'll throw the mask on. But anyhow, you can smell my shit. Let me tell you now, yeah, there is no benefit to me wearing a mask because because let's be honest, they're saying that this thing is more deadly than a fart. So clearly, yeah.
Man's like, it's lethal but not deadly.
One of them SPDs. But that's just how that's just how I rationalise it in my head. I'm thinking to myself,
Nah, but
like,
for me,
it's
I've
different.
just said,
Like,
if the social distancing works, why do you need a mask? And if you need to wear a mask and the mask works,
Why
why
do you
are we
need
all
the vaccine?
standing? And we can say that with any two of these. If the vaccine works, why are we still having to? We can go on with
Yeah,
it.
it's true.
Well, I
It's
seen
always
the last one before. Obviously, I feel like we should just COVID is just going to be here, but obviously, I don't want to talk about it all night. They're chatting now. If like schools get back into teachers and getting vaccinated in schools, it could be 3 weeks before they're allowed to go back into a primary school or a secondary school setting, because it could take you that long before the vaccine starts to
Like
actually
kicks
work
in.
and
Yeah,
kicks in.
I can
So I'm
imagine
thinking
that.
to myself, how's that work? Because I remember at my BCG when I was a kid, I got that
Instant,
shit at
innit?
lunch and then got sent back to class just
Yeah,
after
yeah.
lunch, you know what I mean? So, and you was meant to be fine from then on out. So it's
I don't
very
know.
difficult.
I think that's a bit different though, because stuff like BCG, tetanus, TB, is because they're not common to touch.
Okay,
so
okay,
they'll be
okay.
like, yeah, go out there.
But you can still obviously
Yeah.
come
so
into
I think
contact with someone
Okay,
pretty soon.
yeah,
the
Alright,
risk is
that
a
makes
lot
sense, I
lower.
suppose. But in my head, I'm just like, it shouldn't take, if it's that good, it
Yeah.
shouldn't take you 3 weeks before you're allowed to. You basically got to self-isolate after getting vaccinated for a longer self-isolation period than the pushing at the minute for just coming into contact with somebody.
It's a grace period as well to make sure that nothing, like you've taken the vaccine, there's no side effects, they've given themselves that 3 weeks to be like, hopefully nothing happened. Not like something would happen to you, but just as a safety net, like you've taken that vaccine, like, yo, there's
Where's this 3 weeks coming from though? Like,
it might be just based on previous
Thin air, like
Test,
yesterday.
yeah.
Well,
Just throwing numbers out to
He was chatting, he was going to give people 500 quid the other day for if you
Oh,
test
I know, yeah.
positive. Like,
Yeah, that's true, though.
would you want your £500? Would you go cash that into not to take a test, but to test positive? Like,
See,
you're
I
going to
think-
get some broke people just being like, cough on me,
But
please.
I
Somebody cough on
didn't
me.
get the whole thing. Why are you giving money to test when you give people
Because it
500?
forces people, it's pushing the false positive numbers up.
Is that why?
Yeah. Because imagine you say you've tested positive and they give you 500, then you're
Yeah.
isolating, then you say you passed it to me, then trade, then did it.
Okay,
then
I
there's a
didn't know
network
why.
of people.
I was thinking they were just. I didn't get it. I was like, why are you giving man's money to test positive when you give people money to not test positive? I just didn't get it. So if you're telling me to get the numbers up, that's mad.
But people are at fault. If no one got tested, they couldn't make these numbers up. People are pushing us into another lockdown by
That's true.
running around getting tested. I don't go and get tested for cancer or something because I know I know I don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're treating healthy people as though they're sick. And
Yeah.
that's
The thing that's worrying me is just the amount of people that probably aren't getting treatment for things that are that are actually like
Yeah.
ailments at this moment in time.
Seen
You get me?
stories of-
Like,
I read them on Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with like
I try and stay. That's one.
operations
Yeah.
cancelled because of the whole
Yeah.
COVID thing. They
Yeah.
push back everyone else's kind of treatments for things.
Some one girl lost her dad.
Yeah.
Basically, he had an operation that was meant to happen like October time.
Okay.
And then what happened was they said, it's not essential, so we have to push it to next year. 2 weeks later, he died of something what they said is not essential. So then, who can you sue?
I
I don't know.
I've
It's a
no
sticky
idea.
That
one,
should
isn't it?
fall under negligence.
Negligence,
Yeah.
yeah. Sure, that's a sticky one. But when you were saying then, just reading all this stuff on like Twitter and Insta and that, I've had to step back because
gets too much.
way too much. I remember like we was talking again on our pod last year when we was like the George Floyd situation and everyone obviously putting the 2 pence in onto Facebook and so I just come off Facebook and was just like can't
Yeah,
do it
I
no
deleted
more.
it
Just
as
like
well.
I've had to just like detox from socials to an extent because you just get kind of too consumed and I feel like it's especially within our community where we kind of either follow the same thing or we have similar interests, everything kind of becomes its own little echo chamber.
Yeah.
So you're almost kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say to the extreme that you're indoctrinated, but you're almost on the same wavelength as everybody else in that same little bubble as you.
Yeah.
And until you kind of break out of it and you realise, boy, you take a step back, there's other little bubbles there that like aren't even integrating and talking to each other. So I feel like there's a lot of people now that are like, they've got two different. We're living in a time where people have got one version of a reality and then another version of reality. Because they don't entertain your version of reality, they're not seeing any of the same information. They're not seeing any of the same facts or any of this. Yeah,
Confirmation bias. What it is.
Yeah, it
and
is,
it's
yeah.
just it's mad. It is. The world is upside down. Yeah.
But I have a question to move off COVID.
Yes.
As a bit of
I'm glad that.
bit of just something, just like
The
an
elephant in the
icebreaker.
room's done now. Isn't it?
Yeah, bit of an icebreaker, just a random one. So if you were a wrestler,
I am listening.
You've got his
so
attention.
if you were a wrestler, what would your theme tune be to come out to?
I thought it was going to be name. Yo, I don't even know.
What's your name?
Yeah, have you got a name?
It's like
Actually,
I know.
yeah.
Someone asked me in work that a while ago, and it was the black something. I can't remember. Of course, it was. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was. To be fair, it wasn't the Black Mamba, but it was something.
Is that Kobe?
Yeah. I can't remember. Go on. What was your theme
You'd have
tune?
me at wrestling, but then that's a tough one, you know.
If you had to pick a theme tune, it could be whatever you want, and that would be your theme tune that you come out to the ring.
I don't know.
This is to everyone, by the way, not just to Marcel.
Do you know what? Yeah, I love Big Rich Town. Whenever I hear that power thing,
Yeah.
It's like a different
It means
energy.
business, that in it. It's a business tune, man.
Shit.
I don't know. I'm
It
stuck.
has to be 10PT next time.
Was it?
Yeah,
Smash!
Claire, man, we just.
Do you know what? Who was it? Someone had T.I. bring him out the other day. I feel like that.
Bring 'em out, bring 'em
Yeah,
out.
Yeah, I feel like that would bang.
I think mine would be Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill.
Okay.
Hold up, wait a minute. You thought I was
Do you know
finished?
what?
Yeah.
Anti-up.
Yeah.
MOP.
MOP.
That might be, yeah.
Yeah. Would you, I'm trying to, because you said anti-up, would you be dressed like how Crime Time used to dress with the flare jeans and the Timbs and that?
Do something like that. Sure. But then, no, that's too dressed for me. I don't dress up that much.
I swear.
When you gotta look for my Instagram, I'm always naked. I'd go with the trunks and that, and I'd rock it.
Ready to come on stage, yeah.
Just
trunks and
touching on
that.
wrestling, that was an aspiration at one point, really.
I had an application with
Did ya?
WWE, and I'm not asked. I've
swear.
still got it screenshotted. I smashed that application. Everything that they were asking for.
What did you have to do?
Basically, that was just an online application at
Okay.
the time. They wanted people with no wrestling experience who they could mold. Like apparently, it was something like, we can teach you how to wrestle, we can't teach you how to be big. So they were after people who were in shape.
Okay.
So some of the experience they wanted was like, they wanted people with acting experience, stage experience, athletic background, preferably like a sport, like a bodybuilding type. So I basically ticked all the boxes and I sold myself on that application. And anything that they were after, like I had, and I was sending links to them and everything. Like, check this post on me, and they never heard nothing back.
Oh, really? But if you'd heard something back, would you have gone through with it?
Yeah, that's right.
I'd have been the guy with the shirt and the tie, and I'd have been his promoter. And that should get me. I would have been
What's the guy?
Yeah, I'd have fully
What's the
been
guy
in
on
it.
SmackDown used to come on. It's like,
The
you
white
earned
guy.
yourself to a cage match with the Undertaker player. He always used to come.
That would have been me, bro. I'd have had catchphrases and everything, little shimmies, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you don't want this smoke from MV. What would your name have been if you...
That's a horrible question. That, I don't know.
Now I want to know what all your man's names would be, because now I'm thinking about it.
I don't know.
Oh, no, it was the Black Destroyer. That was what my name would have been if I was
I've
the
got an
wrestler.
imagination barrier.
Why?
That kid off the Chasers call that, isn't he?
Nah, he's called the Dark Destroyer.
He's
No,
the Dark
not.
Destroyer.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a different sport. He's answering questions, lad. We're smashing heads in. or pretending to smash heads in anyway.
Where's the wheeler? The wheeler team now?
Well, as I say, they would have probably threw me into the ring at some point because I'm your promoter, innit? They'd have been like...
Yeah, true.
The one where they kidnapped the girl or something way back in the day. I don't know if it was before Raw or something like
You'll be
that.
kidnapped.
Yeah, they might just try and kidnap me or something.
You're making yourself out to be a bitch.
No. Like, yo, these guys from America, some big kids. I'm not going to pretend I'm a big guy. I'm not going to lie to you.
Nah,
So
Yeah,
your
you
name could be intimidating. So what did you say? The Dark Destroyer?
The Black Destroyer.
What would yours be?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I've never really thought of like having my own wrestling name though.
Oh, but there's your chance now.
I know. I'm trying to think of something.
That's a hard question, you know.
Yeah.
I remember saying I wanted to be a gladiator, and like, what would your gladiator name be? And I'm like,
Oh, I do sick gladiators, like man like Wolf.
yeah.
Wolf was sick.
Rhino was the man.
What was the black one called though? Sorry?
Rhino, and
Was
then
it
there was
Rhino?
Saracen.
Oh yeah, that was. Remember that? Oy. Gladiator.
They brought
used to
that
be
back
one.
as well at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was shit.
Short-lived,
It was
though,
terrible.
short-lived.
It had to be
Terrible.
the original, like the OG was.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that man would be like 85 now, innit? Because
There was one Shadow. The
Yeah.
other black lady was like,
See,
he was
that's it.
60.
Shadow.
Shadow ended up like a crackhead.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
it's quite sad, yeah. Like he ended up like out on the street and everything.
Oh, mad.
That's
Mad.
mad. I wonder what they was getting paid back in the day to do that though.
Fam, this is where you hear where they were getting paid chicken change.
Nah, they were on a good thing.
Really?
Because they were signed to deals with ITV. I've obviously had too much time, probably during this last year.
Yeah.
Like, they were on to a good thing with ITV.
Mad.
Like, not ITV,
Granada, innit?
Granada, yeah. It was,
Granada, yeah.
They were on to a good thing.
Let
Like,
me
they were
check
getting
it.
good money.
Mad. I'm still trying to think of a wrestling name,
would
you know.
your
I
be,
wouldn't-
Trey?
What would yours be?
trying to think.
Shit. I've had so many rap names. I'm trying to think.
What would your rap name be?
Oh, my rap name's Edgy, innit?
Oh yeah. But I thought you meant like another one.
Oh, nah.
You got bars? Yo, it's a quick 60.
But I used to
I swear that there's more than one of us.
Yeah. I used to rap still. Yeah. Do you know what? I actually watched one of my old videos on YouTube the other day,
Oh, serious?
and obviously, like, in terms of like lyrically, I've always tried to like be more of a lyricist than just bars for bar's sake. And I just watched like that letter to society back.
What was the one? And you had me,
Me and our Paul.
Oh, so come and watch us while I'm filming, and the next thing I'm in the background of the video. I was not prepared for that. I had some bad hairdo going on. And I'm just walking. On the video, it just looks like I did not want to be there. I'm just walking. Hair's all out here. Like some like product of the ghetto, and I'm just walking in the background of the video.
Yeah, so that one was community service. And
How
then
many videos did you do? Did you quite a few?
I must have done about 3 or 4 videos. Yeah. Obviously, not
Was it 10 years ago now, though?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
8-9 years ago. But as I even just listening to that like letter to society back on YouTube the other day, I was like, raw. I was ahead of my time, bro. just like in terms of like great lyricism or anything like that, but just in terms of just because that song itself had a message.
Yeah.
I'm there talking about like. I don't really care about foreign policies when there's people at home that need to be fed. Do you know what I mean? And like, even those things now are still true to today. And like, getting you away from being like programmed and stuff, like the stuff that you see, you can't catch up on demand. This is like real life stuff, do you know what I mean? So I was just watching it thinking, raw. And then even the visual wise of it, like, I'm there posting letters through to like, there was like 3 different people that like I followed in terms of the camera. So from the video aspect of it, it was my cousin. He was at like a graveside, like talking to like a family member that we'd lost, and then there was my boy who had a little girl, and like just talking about like him in the background, obviously while I'm talking about stuff and like raising your family and stuff like that. And then there's another guy there that was in it, and he's just there obviously stressing about bills and debts or whatever. And then at the end of it all, like I post like this letter through the letterbox as if to say, yo, this is my letter to society.
You was
As if
doing
it
a
was
rap
the
man
bar.
before a rap man.
Nah,
didn't you?
trust
Yeah,
one.
kind of.
What was
It
it?
kind of was. But as I
Okay.
say, if you ever was to deep it, you think, right, my mum was half out, right? You know, still.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Man had the young J. Cole in the making there, man.
something
Jeez.
such. But as I say, I've always been a mad creative in terms of that way, and I'll try anything at least once. Do you know what I mean? To just,
I think it's
just
funny
let
that
it
you
out.
mentioned that, saying that you did that like years and years ago, like basically that letter to society and like having that voice, because that's kind of like what we do with the pod. That's come full circle now, like 10 years later or whatever. Now that like we both got podcasts to kind of like push, because I know that, well, for me, I know personally that was one of the reasons that I like wanted to do a pod, to be like, we've now got a platform for us to like not be the so-called the news or these online platforms that kind of push a certain narrative. Now we've kind of got our own space
Speak about whatever you
to
want.
speak about whatever you want, and
Unscripted,
kind of like push it in our own way. Was that like kind of your thinking of when you started
doing
group
the
chat?
pod.
Yeah, doing the pod.
I'll let
I don't know,
you touch on it first.
it was an idea.
Yeah.
It was an idea for a lot longer than it's actually been like in existence still. It was an idea for a long time. I don't know.
More than anything else, I feel like, because in terms of like both of our backgrounds, and
Yeah.
again, Liverpool's a very small city, so in terms of our backgrounds and like the amount of work that he had done independently for himself, the amount of work that I had done independently for myself, again, like working with PlayStation, working with ITV, Channel 4s, all those things like back in the day, and not going to that next level with some of the stuff in terms of like the creative side. I've always wanted to work in media. I've always wanted to like have that as a full-time grind in some capacity. I think it was like getting to that point where it's like, if me and him potentially would have been in London doing half of the stuff that we would have done, I feel like there would have been more of an opportunity to be springboarded onto the next level.
Yeah.
Whereas in Liverpool, there's not necessarily the same springboard or the infrastructure to springboard yourself, or to have that springboard, I should say. So it was more of a case of,
Especially with what you do, though.
Yeah.
more creative. But I generally feel like with what you do, I think the North is big for that.
It has been
Like-
over the last couple of years.
Like you for creative, but it's harder in Liverpool.
100%.
You need to go to Manchester,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've seen
Yeah.
that. But
But my thing was, sorry, I was
Yeah.
never like, because I used to do a lot of acting as a kid. I was never like, I didn't want to put myself in a position where you go to London, yeah, and you get given a script and they want you to act, and you say, all right, we want you to be this character, and the character's obviously a black lad, and typically the black lad's from London.
Yeah.
So
You have to
in
change
my
your
mind,
whole persona.
it was not even that you have to change your own persona, because I can do a London accent and I can act as if I am, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell any difference when I'm acting properly as if I was a Cockney. I think the thing for me is, if I'm going to be the casting director and I'm going to cast it, and it's a London part, who am I going to cast it for? Am I going to give it to
Yeah,
Tessa,
okay.
that's from London, or am I going to give it to my guy that's imitating a Londoner? Which is often the mad flip, what you don't particularly get in Liverpool so much. So
Yeah.
if there's dramas that are getting filmed up in Liverpool, they'll put out that they need a black Scouser, but then they will cast the black Londoner to put on a Scouse accent in some
Nah,
way, shape, or
really?
form. Swear to God, bro. Swear
yeah.
to God. Even when we spoke about this in terms of the podcast last year with the Anthony Walker programme that came out on BBC, the lad that ended up playing Anthony Walker wasn't from Liverpool.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So I've heard so many mixed reviews, but I don't want to get too into it. But I've heard too many.
Yeah.
But that is that the case of that might just be because they haven't got that kind of pool of not talent, but you know, in London, because there's so many people to pick from. In Liverpool, they might not have that kind of the same kind of numbers
I
to
don't
pick
know,
from.
because I
You don't,
heard-
but there's still people here, do you know what I mean? So like, even from, so my thing on that personally, when I got asked to audition for Anthony at the time, I know I don't look like Anthony Walker or how Anthony Walker looked when he was younger, do you know what I mean? So I was never expecting to be cast as him. But in terms of the representation of his family, or because they're not going to obviously tell his brother's story or his cousin's story, but in terms of that visual representation, to be able to say we've got black casts that are from Liverpool in it, that to me is authentic, and that to me is real.
Yeah.
But they overlooked that, and then his family members and that makeup of his family, none of them were from Liverpool either, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So even that to me, it's just like, I get what you're trying to do, but this was like, these are more the barriers, and this is why I feel like at some point it got to the point where, you know, try to be a creative, done loads of mad little random things, and you just look here, there and everywhere. It was like, well, how can we have a body of work that's consistent with our branding, with who we are, that we want to put out with, not necessarily our message, but as what you were saying, just giving a platform to other creatives or other people in the city that we think, yo, if you were from Liverpool, like, people would be coming to you for interviews on a regular basis, or people would be linking with you to do this project or the next project. So why aren't we doing that for not necessarily just demand them, but just for everybody that's pulling together, trying to put on for the city. So that was kind of like half of the vision, and then it was more about how we just go about executing it and trying to get the right ingredients to make it feel as though it still comes across with a professional element, and it's not just random man in their own yard, just just sat around with a couple of cheap mics or whatever. So that was it from my point of view anyway.
What about, like, you know, the way that you said, like, obviously if you were in London, like, you would have been further from wherever you are at the moment, but like, what about like people who come here? I know like the opportunities around here aren't like out there all the time, but like, you know, sometimes I see people that I know from like uni come over here, but then get those opportunities that people like here don't get. Like, how do you feel about that? Have you seen any examples of that? Or
I have, but I can only. So you can't really, what you're saying now, you can't really say that people that come here and get opportunities, what other people are. It's really like at the same time.
It's not like the people coming over here stealing our jobs.
Yeah, no, that's what it kind of came across.
If someone's able to come over and steal you, then more for you.
Like, I wouldn't even say that, because you need to think about it, like, especially when people come from uni and stuff. Like, bear in mind, we're from Liverpool, and I was working on Manny. I'm not stealing Manny man's jobs. Like, like, so you need to think like I was at the right place at the right time.
I think it's the type of the line of work that you're going to do as well. More time, because like I've always been like very traditionalist in terms of the creative side of what I was trying to do. So in terms of the schooling that I went through like drama school when I was very young, all the way to like I was 17, 18, and went through that line of thinking. I was very ignorant at the time when like it was coming to applying for university or stuff like that, because I thought, to be fair, I got offered a scholarship. Well, I got offered like a part of a scholarship to go to a school in America when I was 18.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I didn't get through to it because my GCSEs at the time, I applied in AS levels, not A levels. So I didn't have enough like GDP points or whatever they are to qualify. No, well, we did. Well, UCAS is over here. There's like GDP. They do their scoring. So because I didn't actually have an NEA levels at that point, and my GCSEs weren't like A stars, I didn't have enough points to qualify for an automatic like international
Isn't
scholarship.
that exactly what's wrong with the whole? That's why I didn't go to uni. The fact that like you could have been the best actor. You could have made the most of it. But because you're English and maths, which is a completely separate topic, like you were denied that.
Well, this is what even more fucks me. Even when you go back a little bit further and you look at school, my school, because my English and that, I went to a reasonably good school, but like I wasn't top set in many. I wasn't top set in anything, to be completely honest. My English teacher at the time, I was like in the middle set for English, but I was probably one of the few in her class that was definitely going to make the grade in terms of just getting your C and passing. Everybody else was kind of flaky with it. I've got aspirations to do acting anyway, so if I was with like a personal mentor or a tutor, my thing would have been, well, Errol, what you really need to be doing is exploring English literature, because if you start reading literature, you'll start going on about Shakespeare, you'll start reading like loads of different plays, you'll do like 1984, George Orwell, you'll do all these kind of books and stuff, and just widen your vocabulary and your scope of English. It's not just your grammar side of things. My English teacher at the time wouldn't put me into the other class that could do that, because in terms of her job, she needed people in her class to be able to pass. Do you know what I mean? So she kind of put me at a disadvantage from the off. So as I say, when it come around to having that opportunity taken away from me almost, I was of the mindset then like, I'm not going to go to I'm not going to go to Lipper, or I'm not going to go to like RADA or anything like that. Like, what can they teach me that like, compared to when I had an opportunity over America? So that was just me being narrow-minded and naive. So as you were saying before about like the opportunities, I feel like different people put themselves in different settings, and certain settings will elevate you in a different way than just, as I say, going down a traditional route, because I just had to age him from young and was just a working actor, whereas other people are still getting other skills and adding other strings to their bow by going to university, getting an acting degree, being around like a different network of people, getting put in touch with like different organisations from a completely, like, because that's all closed off to me, so I'm never going to share the same opportunities as them, because I've never walked through those doors. So I can't begrudge somebody for going down the path that they went down, because they didn't go down the path that I went down equally. Do you know what I mean? At the same time. So
who was we having this conversation with about like how a lot of actors are coming out of the woodworks just because of social media?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Who was it? I don't think it was you.
But this is not. But this is
not a lot of people with a lot of backgrounds. Social media is responsible for a lot of
because this goes back to me being a traditionalist. Because I was that way inclined, I never just wanted to jump on social media because I didn't. That to me is an acting.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
But now with TikTok, with the way people can create themselves and become a content creator, now more than ever it is. So I feel like I've missed the boat on quite a few things that like I could have put myself on in terms of like TikTok or being on Instagram from young, if I would have just picked up the camera and just ran with it. But because in my mind I was like, I want to be a traditional actor. To be a traditional actor, you've got to go through, you've got to audition, you've got to have an agent. Once you get your agent's going to line you up with these parts and and then from that you do X amount of parts and then you get another agent. I'm trying to go up the ladder on one ladder, but unbeknownst to me at the time, there's a whole new element of
it's
things.
just like
And now it's just like
who you know.
Now it's who you know.
But not even who you know that's willing to help you.
Yeah. And sometimes it's who you know who's willing to help you, who's not just gonna want to use you for what you're giving them. Like they're gonna help you and put you on in the pathway that you need to be. Not like I'm gonna help you, but I'm helping you because in the back of my mind I know that I'm gonna get something from you at the same time. Like some people just put the people on because it makes them look good, rather than actually help them.
You get those social media dons now as well that like people are looking at like, yo, let me see how many followers my man's got. Right, you've got 100,000 followers. I don't really care for your talent. I just care for your following,
for your numbers,
and your numbers. As you were saying before, like money talks, numbers talk as well in this day and age with like social media. So the same person that might not like be. He might look good on the phone camera and you might be able to take a few shots, but if you ask them to be in a professional setting around professional people with cameras and you're asking them to read lines or like, remember lines for whatever, it might take them ages, it might take them 100 takes, but they've committed to that person because they know at the end of it, all of your followers are going to come and flock to whatever content we're putting out, rather than just getting the one individual that's got
Who's
the ability,
fit for the job,
and then can deliver the content. So
people were saying that on like it's obviously in London. There's a thing that they've I don't know whether it's just to save money or to make it easier, but like people like I think it's AJ Tracy. He's now like I'm sure he's got like his own radio slot and stuff. And then
he's always had his own radio slot.
Has he always had it? There was someone else anyway. They were saying like, why are they giving those opportunities to
people that are already on?
Yeah, he's already a rapper.
I'm not gonna lie, but like, so it was like, who was it now? When Radar started.
Okay.
Because that's Mike Ashley's son, innit?
When what started?
Radar Radio.
I don't know, Mike Ashley, the
Newcastle guy.
His son owns Radar Radio.
I don't know.
His son owns Radar, innit? And like, so you know what's her name? Snoochie
Sky.
Yeah, she started off from Radar, so that's how she got into BBC.
Yeah.
So like, they got like all like grime artists to get onto like Big Zoo and all that, and all set people, and then Rinse have that same format as well. So I think they only bring in like a couple who are just at the bottom, but at the same time, you need to still, because radio's not the same as traditional radio, how it was, where when you're driving home, you need to think about it. When we was growing up, when we was younger, you only had like two radio stations you listened to. It was either Radio City or Juice FM.
Yeah.
So
more or less.
So they were getting the listeners in it every time. So then when
I was gonna say that pissed me off last year with Juice FM and them radio stations, because they must have done that solidarity thing for Black Lives Matter. So I've just but this is like the week before I've come off Facebook, so I've just inboxed them and been like, yo, can you explain to me how many black presenters you've got on any of your radio shows through the week? Got aired.
I was saying,
you didn't have an answer for me, because they know they haven't got any. Do you know what I mean? So I was like,
they haven't got any. But then
I love that energy to be like, you know, we're in the same boat and solidarity and all that. But for me, what really matters is your actions, and your actions speak louder than those little tweets and those little moments.
It's only BBC, but I don't know the lineup now, because all I know back then was Adam and Leanne.
Yeah.
So they're the originators for me. So you need to think. Then when DAB came about, that's when people were getting like digital radio, and then you was going to more like names. So at the time it was like Westwood on Radio 1, and then you've got like Ross Kwame at the time and all them. So
DJ Target.
Yeah. So you already had now celebrity DJs, or not celebrity, they are, because they were playing in Napa and playing in clubs and so on. So now where people are transitioning from your car radio to DAB and digital, how are you going to get the numbers up? Because you need to think radio is different from TV. Like, there's no, obviously you get ads, but the ads are not as frequent, and you need listeners and you need clicks. So I understand why they push celebrities or celebrity DJs or noted people than new up and comers. You can't do it. You can only give them slots on someone's radio show.
Who's that guy? The breakfast, is it Chris something? It's not Chris. I don't want to say Chris.
Which one?
It's the white guy that's like the BBC, but he was getting like £1 million.
The one who's it's not the one that started Beats Radio, the very first one that left. The one who did the interview with Kanye. Some of them were getting cheddar,
big dough. Do you know what I mean? To come back into
Adam
radio.
Lowe gets P.
Adam Lowe.
He gets P.
Okay, no.
There's another Chris.
Chris. No, I don't say Chris.
What's his name now? Some of these BBC, like,
they get big dough to do it, you know what I mean, to be on radio.
They're bringing the numbers as well.
Yeah.
Like, you need to bring in them numbers. Like, so, like, I only found out the other day, what's her name now? So, Zoe Ball, do you know her? She still has, because she used to be married to Fatboy Slim.
Okay, yeah.
She still has a radio show. And I didn't, because she was big. She was like, when we was young, she was massive for, like, the 20-year-olds back then.
Yeah.
She still brings in numbers. And I was going through it, because I always look at like radio stuff, and it's like, right, you're getting P's, and they're still giving you a good slot, and it's like 20 years on, your name still carries weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can kind of understand why they're not giving it to up and coming ones, because they need that.
But then that's the other thing as well. Like, I think in terms of opportunities, there are, as we were saying before, it's infrastructure. So I could arguably back then have not had the same amount of responsibilities or outgoings or expectations as a 18, 19-year-old, and just been fresh-faced and been like, instead of doing an internship or an apprenticeship up northwest and be local to family, I'll just go and get an internship for a big company, Sony, be an A&R, go down to BBC and just be an intern for one of them. You get in from early with those things and you can work your way up to a position of a presenter or, you know, an A&R or someone that obviously now is signing people to record labels and whatever. Those people have started from internship level and just stuck it out and bounced between a couple of the big name brands down south. Those same brands don't have infrastructure and offices and networks up here in the same way. Like, that's what I genuinely thought at one point Media City was gonna kind of change the tide of things up in Manchester, but I don't think that has, to the extent that I was probably expecting it to either.
I think it's difficult as well, like you mentioned in Media City, they one, like you're saying, the infrastructure's not there, then obviously won't have the money, but also like whatever's filmed and whatever's produced in Media City, does it have the same kind of weight of name that is going to be produced in the south? Because if you can get to that level, then I think the opportunity level would then like even out. Yeah, it would shift a bit.
It would shift.
But I think that's why it's good for, like, well, obviously we're not at that level yet, but maybe one day we might be, for us to start things like we've started, because then
I wouldn't mind having my own radio show, to be fair, but BBC Radio Mersey's dead. No offense. Like, it's like,
but it's because they don't put the same energy and resources into it that they do down south, and
that's my point.
It doesn't diversify its portfolio in terms of what it puts out and give people opportunities to be a different voice. As you say, you listen to BBC Merseyside and it's catered to not our demographic anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it's not something that we're going to pay much mind to or want to get involved in. Whereas at least from a London's perspective, if you know you're going to be working on BBC and you're an intern, you know it's only a matter of time walking around those halls that you're going to bump into someone from One Extra. Yeah. So from there you can be, oh, I didn't know you was in this building. Do you get me? Like, I remember I went to an interview in I was in Media City, an interview for like an internship for ITV one year, and I went in, and you know, as I went into the toilet, finished like the day, like it was like a group interview and stuff, and you had to work, you had to do like a series of little tasks or whatever, see how well you work in a team. And as I've come out of it, I went into the toilet, and do you remember Tony from Granada Reports?
Yeah.
Didn't he die?
He passed away last year. He passed away. He was taught, like, on TV, he sits there, he doesn't look like that big, he just looks in proportions. He was like 6'5", 6'6" or something. He was a big guy, big, tall man. And he seen me, do you know what I mean? And obviously, you don't see that many black faces in the corridors in them buildings anyway, young faces or whatever it was. So he just spotted me and was like, oh, what are you here for? Chatting to me, and was just like, oh, well, good luck. You know, I hope you do really well. Have a good afternoon and that. And that was the end of it. But I feel like those same opportunities, you know, those like lift pitches, you've heard about lift pitches and stuff, haven't you?
No.
I like an elevator pitch. So like if you ever was to see like a mogul, or if you was ever to see a business person, you was to see them in the lift, people always say, have you got like your 30-second pitch?
Oh,
so, like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like what you'd hit them with. So like those type of moments, that happened up north. Do you know what I mean? Or I could imagine those same opportunities would probably happen down south if you were situated down there.
In the right place, though.
It's about time and right place, right time. And I just think
sometimes there isn't a right place, though. Sometimes you just need to be ready.
I think
like
I think there is a right place.
Nah, but you've even mentioned it before on the other pods with was it Hot Since 82?
Yeah.
When he
but you need to think Hot Since 82 was around these people,
and that's the thing, though.
His time was gonna happen.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. You can be in a situation or an environment where you're not thinking like today is my day, but just because you're in that vicinity.
Yeah. It's like
it will come to you. It's basically with Hot Since 82. He was in
the afters.
Yeah, he was in an after party in Ibiza.
And then someone was like, "Oh, I don't know." Basically, they were in the afters, but you need to think Hot Since 82 was in with these people anyway. And they were like, "Oh, I think they wanted to play a track or something." And he so happened to have his USB. Yeah. Like he knew he actually knew I don't give a fuck.
That's my whole point.
Yeah,
he was ready,
He had his USB and he played his first track that he ever produced. What was it now? We said that last time.
Was it Like You?
I think it was Like You.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, this is fucking cold. And then they were like, you should just like bring it out. And he brought it out, Like You, smashed it. Yeah. Then that's how Hot Since 82 became Hot Since.
And that's it, the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
Some people do get that lucky break.
There's
elements of luck involved.
Yeah, there's loads, of course.
But that was like, that. I feel like that was just the frustration of knowing that but at the same time, when there's not the infrastructure, what else can you do?
Yeah.
And then I feel like for us, at that point in time, or for me anyway, it was like ownership's going to be key then. If we can have our own platform, if we can have our own branding and our own package in terms of ownership, if one day, you know, you sit there, you've got 100 odd podcasts up on YouTube and stuff like that, because I've been doing YouTube not like as a YouTuber and just stand alone, want a camera, but working with somebody that has been trying to do what YouTubers become in 2011. Do you know what I mean? I had a job, as we talk about like interns and stuff like that. I mean, one of my first technician jobs was through a guy that was doing that. Now, he had the right, I'd say to an extent, he had the right template. He just didn't have the content to put on it. Do you know what I mean? That was going to keep people engaged and coming back to want to watch it and make it grow as a platform. So, you know, like the way Arsenal Fan TV has just grew over like 5-6 years, and it was the decline of Arsenal's football state that got people really engaged in it. He had ideas like that, but wasn't implementing them right. So it's like, even those type of things, to me at that point, it was like, that was a missed opportunity, because we had been in it and we was already doing it. We just wasn't doing the right things because there was no one showing you at the time what the right things was to do. Whereas now we know a little bit more. It was like, well, this is where we'd be comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't want it to be overly formal with people, but we want to be able to have people come in, sit with us, catch a vibe, be in a semi-professional setting. So if anyone was to ask us, as say, elevator pitch, or you showed them anything, they'd look at that and think, bro, like, who's making that with yous? As opposed to, or who's funding that, or who's doing X, Y, and Z. And then when they realise this is our creation, it adds another level of credibility almost to what you're doing, because I don't think people are expecting that. I feel like people get given platforms to go on. You know what I mean? Like, here's the platform, this is the project, you come in and feature on it, and you just, you know, host it or do whatever. Whereas we've put the work into
create that platform.
So you must see it as well with like the fitness industry, how that's changed over the years, because obviously
it's gone to shit. It's at its biggest, at its all-time biggest, but most of what I would call like the prominent names, I guess, if I was to say, you know, name some well-known fitness people on Instagram.
Joe Wicks.
No,
but I'm saying, but this is what I mean, bro. That's not even mocking it.
He's massive.
That's what I'm saying. That's not even mocking it, bro.
Like, I rate his hustle. I rate Joe Wicks. Like, but there's something about, man, that now he's the PE teacher of the nation.
He's not Mr. Motivator, let's just say that.
No.
And he's on that same platform in today's.
Like, if they're looking at biggest fitness influencers, Joe Wicks is up there.
He's clever with it.
Unfortunately,
He's clever with it.
And it's the same with most of them. You've only got to look through Instagram to see, like, fake Instagram models who are in shape anyway, who take all kinds of other supplements and then get paid a good bit of money to sell booty tea or booty plans and a whole heap of shit. Did you do that? No. Why are you pushing that shit on people? Same with celebrities. The celebrities who were fat and now they're slightly less fat and they're pushing weight loss products. Like, firstly, it doesn't work. Secondly, you didn't use it. You're being paid to say that it's great and like, here's how it's changed your life. It hasn't.
No, you went to a proper
That's
gym.
the problem. Whereas people who've actually got the knowledge, the expertise, who've say got a bit of not even like with my own bodybuilding. Not everybody. Most people don't want to be a bodybuilder, so it's not that. But people who should really be credible in the fitness industry, they may be big in the fitness industry, like in the industry. But if you say to somebody outside of it, "Oh, have you heard of X, Y, and Z?" They're like,
"Who's that?"
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The one thing that I don't like is, what's it called now? Especially celebrities that boost like booty tea and stuff. And then, because I used to work for a fitness page, and then I've seen them. So I did some work with someone. I don't want to start getting into it. Did some work for somebody, and they were pushing like what is it, like this fitness product that they used it to lose weight and stuff. And then I saw that they were getting PT'd by fitness. Oh shit. Put
the next ping in there.
So I was like, bro, like you were like, yeah, I'm taking all this stuff, but I know who's training you, I know what they're doing, and I know what your regime's like, and you just lied.
Yeah, it's all a facade. The fitness industry is a massive facade.
Yeah.
I know people who will get into shape. I know not to drop names. I know people who will get into shape, go and smash the content and get about 6 months worth of photos and roll them out over the next 6 months, and you bump into them at the gym and they're fat and they look like shit.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on a minute, you posted this morning, I'm doing this. Like, it's catfishing to the max, because they don't look like that. The products that they're pushing, or like the regimes or anything, they're not following it, they're not doing it. And most coaches have got coaches of their own.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you honestly be confident enough in yourself that you can get other people? It's a lot easier to get yourself. If you're determined, it's easier to get yourself in shape and be accountable for yourself than it is to gain other people's trust.
Yeah.
So if you can't even take that accountability for yourself, how can you then get other people? You know.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you then. So 2 things from that then. So as an individual, then that's already in that kind of world. Does that have its? How do you stop yourself from feeling like drained and negative because of it? Do you know what I mean? And like get down when you're seeing other people.
The same way as I do with everything. 1, I know it's a load of shit. Well, 9 times out of 10, I know it's not as it seems. And 2, I focus on me. I can hand on heart say, as far as the fitness thing goes, I focus on me. If I want to post something, I post it. If I don't like your content, I probably won't follow you. I don't believe the hype. As far as
and that was the other thing. How do you not fall for everybody? How in your own little kind of elements? How do you not fall into those traps of being like catfish, so to speak, in terms of all the stuff that you see on socials, kind of like buying into it too much?
Because I see people who, as far as Insta goes, are absolutely living the dream. And I know when the lockdown hit, they were trying to sell dumbbells at an inflated price. Now, if you've got all this money, you're not trying to sell scrap metal.
But then, I'm not gonna lie, they're trying to
boys?
capitalise on everyone wanting weights. So I know 2 people have done it. One guy who I used to work with, he doesn't do nothing to do with fitness, like nothing. We're all like creatives, we're tech guys. He capitalised on that.
Okay.
I was just selling. So we got in partnership with a Scott Welding company, and then he said they basically split it. Basically, he'll build a website, market it, and he's like at the top of the game. So it was like, and then that's how we worked. And he's made like a good, like a good amount of money. And I'm like, even I was like, shit. Like,
I respect that. That's only on a small scale what everybody up in power's doing now.
But
like, so to be given contracts to look after their own and cash in at other people's expense at a time like this.
And he did it, and I know another person who did it as well, and they're actually both guys that not into fitness. That's actually the thing that pisses me off the most.
How do you avoid the pitfalls then in the traps? Because I feel like everything's almost a trap on Instagram or socials.
I think for me, it's the majority of people who I follow. One, I've either encountered them in real life, so I have some kind of personal relation, or I know of them, or they know of me. Or the other thing is, if I do follow someone who's a celebrity or someone who is like big, like name wise, it's usually someone I'm interested in. So I have a little bit of more information on that individual, rather than instead of just. So for example, like if I want to follow people in the fitness industry, I'm not just going to follow so many different pages. I might just follow 3 or 4 that I'm interested in, and just those are the only ones I follow, because that way at least then you get to understand, even if you don't know them personally, you get to understand that like you see their journey and their progress and their development.
It's authentic.
It's authentic. And then for me, I'd gravitate to people that I feel like who could be maybe not literally similar, but like I could be similar to, or people who have a message that is, you know, relatable. Instead of just like, because I feel like what people do when they fall into traps of like how everybody else is living their lives is they just see everyone. They don't filter it and they don't break it down to who's similar to you, who's in your lane, what are your interests. Don't open it to everyone. Once you open it to everyone, then you can get pulled in by anything.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because on the group chat or on our Instagram, because of his like interests and like my interest, I'll have a lot of like feeds that are all gym related, because obviously he's a part of the branding as well. Do you know what I mean? So ordinarily I probably wouldn't follow them or see them just populate into my screen, but they do. I don't really pay too much mind because I'm not really like a fitness like fanatic in that way anyway. But I think if I wasn't like, if I didn't have a mindset like yours, you could easily just get lost in it thinking, oh, I'm not doing the right thing here, I'm not doing the right thing there, because you're seeing that many different people throwing all this mad information at you. It's hard to kind of digest. Do you know what I mean?
Don't know, man. Like, I get what you're saying. I unfollowed bare people from the fitness industry, to be fair. Unfollowed bare. There was one point where I was like, rah, like, why am I not looking like my man? Or
that's
like,
a bad shot. That's another one.
That's what I was saying to you just
that
then.
That goes
like
back to this thing of everything ain't as it seems.
So it used to get to me at one point where at the time now where I think this is one of the reasons why like I had a bad relationship with the gym afterwards, and I was like, nah, it's not, like, because I was still kind of naive, thinking, you know what, yeah, people not taking extra supplements, they grafting, and obviously I know you have to graft, but the set guys I've seen, like, what they're saying, like, obviously I for the sport I'm all for it, but there's some people who just do, especially in uni times, there was kids who were whacking it, and then they were whacking it for no reason, and then they were just having problems, and you're just thinking, nah, this is fucked.
Whacking what?
Whacking supplements, bro.
Steroids.
I know. That's what I wanted to say. I was like, whacking what?
We don't shy about that.
Yeah.
They were whacking it in uni, innit? Like, because they were falling into, at that time, you was
gonna call
big.
someone else out there.
No, I'm saying at that time, all you always used to see on Instagram was like Lazar, Simeon Panda,
The fake naturals.
yeah. Or that's, but there was a period where if you go on Instagram, every page that's all you would see.
No, but even with that, you got to take it with a pinch of salt. So if something looks like with anything in life, if something looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, but that's what
usually
you
have to ask them questions. Don't get there's exceptions. There is people who are genetically blessed that I know personally, and
yeah, mate. Genetically blessed over here.
More often than not, if you've got to ask that question, chances are they're probably doing something more than eating chicken and lifting weights.
So that's what I'm saying. That period of time where it was just like the height of like that Instagram bodybuilder and the craze of like, it was just everywhere. So you would just see them just pop up. Always, you know what's mad? I always used to see Michelle Lewin. Now I don't see her nowhere. Just every day. Thinking, shit, how many sponsorships is she getting? And then it kind of got me, and I was like, I need to unfollow every fitness page. Like, I was like, I just can't do it no more. It was like all the time, it was these, man. And I only follow people now that I train with, or people that I know who I've seen train.
On that front, we've got a worse deal than girls. Girls cry that,
this is what I'm glad you've said this, I'm glad you've said this, my G.
Lose this many.
Talk on it.
Look at everything, even from when we were like kids and that. Look at every action figure you've ever seen.
Yo, rip, bro. Action man. I used to think at one point in life.
We just got such an expectation as to how to look.
Any cards like Dragon Ball Z.
Power Rangers. Just ripped on it.
They were like, yeah, you need to, like, if my man ain't muscly, like, he's not going to protect me. What the fuck?
As I was going to say now, do you think in terms of like, for men, because I feel like this is another good I wouldn't say a direct result of doing the podcast, but obviously the podcast, I feel like it's born out of doing the podcast, talking. Do you feel like being able to talk on things like this often enough keep you sane rather than just being so fixated on constantly watching everybody else instead of kind of engaging with other people, if that makes sense?
I think talking about it, I'm somebody...
Because for mental health purposes, I'm thinking the last couple of years, everybody's been on a journey. Got to have been, do you know what I mean?
I think from like talking about it, like I'm somebody who kind of keeps like, if I'm on like something like a bad day or something like that, I keep that all to myself. But I went through something like 2 years ago, and like just speaking to these man, like kind of really helped me. Do you get me? So like, I still probably don't speak out as much as I should do. But
men don't. That's a serious problem, though. Like,
it's a huge stigma. But I feel like born out of these podcasts, I feel like hopefully that was another good thing that could come from it. Do you know what I mean? Like if people see, quote unquote, alpha male like my man and myself, do you get me? Like, or yourselves, do you get me? Talking on certain things, it breaks that stigma down of being able to like, what, if they can, but not only if they can, it's not just doing it in private, we're bold enough to do it in like publicising it and putting it out there to the world.
I don't know, there's things I couldn't speak on though.
Really?
Yeah, I think, not gonna lie, I do get it why men don't talk. I do understand.
I just think that's
I get it, but I also understand that it's wrong.
Yeah.
There's different people you can go to on different things.
Yeah.
I've had, obviously, we've all been through some shit. That's how they do it. I've been through some shit, but there's certain problems that I could be faced with, and I think, right, I know I couldn't go to my mum with that. Yeah. And like a process of elimination, I'm looking and thinking, couldn't go to Edel with a problem like that. Couldn't go, and then next thing I think,
I know the
what?
type of problems you come at me with, though.
That's because I come to you with them. I could be like, you know what, I'm going to go to me nan, and I could go to me nan for a certain, but then another problem, I'd say, nah, she wouldn't get it. And I'd go to somebody else for a different problem, and they would get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Very
people
compartmentalised.
I do things similar to that, but I don't know whether that's like a society thing for men to think that, like, if I go, it's like you were saying, if I go with my problem to Errol, he probably has a perception of me thinking, like, because you never go to him for that kind of problem. You have that kind of perception of that he's okay in that kind of
those aspects.
Those aspects. So I'm never gonna go with
again. It's
him.
probably a confirmation bias. If I had an issue with, if I hated a job and I knew Errol was really pro, like, 9 to 5, and he was going to say, no, stick with your job and work hard, I wouldn't go to him for advice because he's going to tell me what I don't want to hear. So I'd go to someone who was a little bit, say, self-employed and chilled out and got their own business, also sitting back and see their success story and be like, that'll probably motivate. That's that makes sense.
You're right.
But I think that's a. I think maybe that's where the difference is. Maybe I don't know. Obviously, we're not women, so we don't know. Maybe women just talk. They'll just go to anyone. But like for us, maybe it's like you said, process of elimination, where we're gonna think a bit more strategically. Like, I'm gonna speak to Trey about this thing, but I'm not gonna speak to Josh about it. But I'll speak to Josh about something.
I'm not gonna lie. I do that like 100%. I'll speak to certain people over certain problems. And I absolutely would not go to somebody else over them. Nothing against them. They're just not the right person for the problem. And then there's some things that like.
But that's what's scary for men, because I feel like we go up to a point where not everybody's got that network around them where you could have. It only takes 4 different people to have like 4 different type of vibes that you could go and speak to them on different levels, whereas some people might only have a really small network or a really small friendship, so they've only got that 1 or 2 people and they can't offload everything onto just those 2 people.
Though, 4, because if you need to think about it now, you got 4 people or 4 or 5 compared to where a girl have like 5 network that change every 3 months. So then,
true.
If you think
And then
about
everybody
it,
knows the business on a regular basis.
Girls, I don't really hear as much in lads, but girls will use people's stories as a fucking weapon. Like, I've heard more stuff from girl to tell me about another girl than a lad has told me about someone else, to be like, my man, he told me this.
It's because it's as we say, for a man to come to you and say, look, it's usually quite serious. So I respect that, and I wouldn't go blabbing it to someone else.
But then
like,
girls would. Girls will come and tell you, she told me this, and
it's
like,
always
whoa.
on that, look, I'm telling you, but don't tell no one. But such and such said, and then you go and say the same, and then before you know it, we all know, we're all acting like we don't know, and then there's one person who's really like suffering.
They're just there left. That's horrible.
That's actually crazy.
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say as well, like, even in like a work environment as well, Joe, when like somebody can kind of spot that you're off or have like an off day, you can't really go to somebody and work sometimes because it's not the right place. Do you get me? And I think that fear as well that you were alluding to there is like, I'm scared in case everyone else just knows like what's going on. Do you get me?
Anytime I've had a problem, it's always been better once I've spoken about it, even if there's been no answer or nothing's been solved.
Just need to get
problem
it.
shared is a problem halved.
That's it.
100%.
Just need to get it out there sometimes in the world, like release that
Sometimes
energy.
you keep it in, you convince yourself that like, nah, everything's actually fine. I've been there before. I've told you this. Wow. Now, there was a time I had a few things going on, and I knew I had a day coming up where I had no work. So it's rare I actually get a free day. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take myself on a walk. I'm just gonna drive somewhere and just like be at one with my thoughts, clear my thoughts. So I drive to Movama. I told you this. I drive to Movama. Gets there on my own at like say 10. It was like a weekday morning, it's like a Wednesday, Thursday. So gets there, nice bright day. Gets halfway up, wind out of nowhere, starts pissing down. So now I'm walking up Movama in a pissing down rain on my own, and there's not a soul in sight. And I got to the top, and I just sit to the top, and I was just like, whatever problems this was meant to hide, it's magnified. I am sat on the top of Movama on a weekday morning on my own. I thought I was gonna cry. And then my dad phoned me. I was like, you're not in the gym today? I was like, nah. He was like, where are you? It's windy. I was like, on Movama. And he was like, who with? And I was like, no one. And I felt so, but then I was like, it's made me aware that, actually, you're not okay. And I know shortly after that, all was good.
That's good.
But sometimes it's just being aware that, hey, like, stop trying to hold in and be like, nah, I'm a man, like, everything's fine. If everything's not fine, then everything's not fine, and there's a reason why that's, so own it.
What mobile network you on?
Well, it's 12 signal up on my...
Yo, I thought you was going to start giving us a deal.
No, it's true though. I'm like that. I feel like as an individual, I've probably got better at doing that as I've got a little bit older. I feel like when I was younger, I was a bit more of a hothead. So if like I couldn't talk to demand them about certain things, you know what I mean? And
So another thing as well, like sometimes you big it up in your own mind as though like, oh, what will he think? I've genuinely had somebody come to me who's been on the air, who's tried to kill himself, who's had thoughts about it. And the fact that they could come to me and speak to me about it, I'm not judging. If any, and I respect that a lot. I'm thinking of all the people that I know you've got around you, for whatever reason, you've thought, you know what, I can speak to them. Like, he's approachable and for whatever reason. And just by being someone's ears for 5 minutes, it's not like, you know, you're having to give up. Even if it was a lot longer than 5 minutes, to give up your time to someone, and it's changed the mindset. Of all's good and well with this lad. But I've seen that side, and being on the other side of things where someone's came to you with their problems, unless you're a piece of shit, you're not going to judge someone who's genuinely going through something if they come to you. So speaking up on things
very true.
And
is
even
always...
on the flip side, that when you've seen it as well and people haven't said anything, and in the extremes, you know what I mean?
That's what I've seen over the last few months,
I think
You'd rather someone just come and talk to you, do you get me? Like
there's always that what if, like, you know, fucking hell, if only he would have spoke to me, or...
So,
do you get me?
but that's one of them things. You can't really, if someone doesn't want to speak to you, it's hard for you to...
That's like, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
black and white. If someone doesn't want to help themselves, you can't. You ain't going to change the mindset on that.
True. You just kind of have to give them that idea, like, I'm here for you. Like, if you want to talk, like, I'm here, but I can't force you. But when you're ready to, then just you know,
do you know what I mean?
or like somehow express it. Maybe it's not even talking, because sometimes I feel, even though people say like, oh, mention talking stuff, obviously talking is the way, but there's other, I feel like not everybody responds to the talking. It's like you need to find something that you can get through to them on a certain level, whether, I don't know, whether that's sports or something where that person can use that negative energy into something positive, where you can see the change in it. Like for you, like it could be fitness.
It might be the gym.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
had that before. If I know someone's a bit shit, I've said, like, nah, come down and train with us. I'm in anyway, so you may as well come and show. If you want me to train you or whatever.
Yeah.
That works a lot. That doesn't get the credit it deserves, especially at a time like this. The fact gyms are shut. That does not get the credit it deserves.
When do you think gyms will be open? I need some hope.
I'd be realistic. I'd say the earliest, if anything, would be the end of March.
Okay.
And I'm being
That's very
optimistic.
with that.
Yeah.
I said this to you back in October though, innit, when everyone was petitioning for the gyms to be back open. I said they'll make certain concessions, but I can guarantee that for the most part, Liverpool now will remain in lockdown in one way or another from the end of November onwards. They'll just kind of either rename it or rebrand it, but we will be in it till March. And then lo and behold, he put us back. We didn't do December in lockdown, did we?
Yeah,
No, we had
so
December
we got
off.
up to New Year's.
So we go through a tier system, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we started that tier system, and then we ended up back in lockdown, and then obviously the gyms from once it got to tier 3 again or 4, whatever, he was getting shut. So I just knew, you know, they'll give certain concessions for certain things, but once they draw that line in the sand to say, boom, it'll just be locked off, and then end in terms of when you see it end. I didn't see it end until, as you were saying now, at least March. But again, that's just being hopeful for everything.
It's long, man. Yeah,
Even that's bullshit though, because there's a much bigger crisis and numbers back it up. Obesity is far worse
So I'll put on
than
pounds.
Rona.
Like,
If we're talking numbers,
Yeah.
it is, and it's if it makes people far more susceptible to it.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And
Yeah.
gyms, which is, you know, people's number one go-to. Like, I think that's a load of shit.
I think it's nonsense.
Now we've got articles that are articles put out there with a clear agenda behind them, pushing shit like, oh, I prefer to train at home. No, you don't.
I've been
posting them every single day.
I'm thinking, who's writing these?
Someone with a big crib in a private gym, a personal gym, private swimming pool downstairs.
Must be, bro.
You know that, innit?
I look at these articles and I'm like, shit, there's an agenda here, because how someone telling me, like, is the one that I read the other day, it really pissed me off. It was like, well, gyms are on the way out and home workouts are in the way in. I was thinking,
Hey,
who's
did you know
writing
what?
this?
You get yourself in shape like me from home, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, it's true.
Serious. And do you know what? Even more, and it might hit a nerve with some people, but the number of articles that I've seen where it's like, died of COVID, no, was in great health, no underlying conditions, and this person is like a whale. Like, that's an underlying condition, and enough people have spoke about that. That pisses me off. Them two go hand in hand, them articles.
So in the beginning, where it's going to hit a lot of nerves as well, fucking in the beginning when people were dying, and you don't really see it that much, like, you used to see like a lot of posts like, I lost this and this, and you see the photo, and I was like, oh shit, like, obviously when you get to a certain age, you do let yourself go. So I'm not gonna lie, like, obviously, like, a lot of people's parents are a lot bigger because that's age. I do get that. But
that's also our own responsibility.
Yeah, but then
that's such a basic thing. Look after your own health.
Yeah, true.
Like, I know
then
if
that
I
goes
put
to
on
education as well. That goes to education. I feel like I don't feel. It's one thing to just have to have PE once a week, but are you actually being told about like nourishment? Are you actually being told about what's a good, healthy, balanced diet?
Some schools offer like a cookery lesson, but you're being taught how to bake a fucking cake. Not how to actually feed the family healthy meals and look after yourself. That's where the problem starts.
True. That comes with
education. It's
education.
Being taught from early.
Yeah.
So it's no good especially when our parents' generations, their education was even more stripped back from ours. You know what I mean? Really. Well, no, to be fair, I think they did home ed back then, but I feel like you did home ed to bring up a family, and it was that kind of setting. You know what I mean?
So?
Like to how to do a household and to run things properly. Whereas we didn't do anything like home ed. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't do home ed.
Like home education. So like literally like how to run a household. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like food tech and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like they had that anyway from early. Again, because they're like 20, 30 years removed from school, all that teaching, and it's probably fell out their heads. They're working.
But they're also of the same age as the people now who are out of shape, telling us what we can and can't do with our fitness.
Yeah, it's true.
Look at the politicians; they don't look healthy. But they don't look like they've seen it inside of a gym for a long time.
So we can apply it with a lot of things, but obviously the gym's the one that applies to me, so it hit with me. If we look at me in life and my position and what I am, someone who's grew up, upper class, white, fat old man, cannot tell me how to live my life as far as fitness goes. We have nothing in common. Like, that pisses me off.
Standard.
Yeah.
True.
We need some younger politicians, to be fair.
There should be like a two-tier government.
There should be.
Because people now who are 30 years older than us are making decisions they ain't even going to live to see the effects of.
It's true.
And someone I couldn't tell a 50-year-old how to live their life because I've never been there. They say, if you're in your 50s, 60s, how can you tell me in a generation that you never grew up in, and it's been 40 years since you've been, or 30, 40 years since you've been a part of, you can't tell me how to live what's best
and
for
the
me.
world's changed so much even in the last 15, 20 years that we just grew up in two completely different ages.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean? The internet age and the non-internet age, everything's completely different.
I feel like we're the last generation where I feel like we're the cusp of both, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? So we've got the benefit. I feel like we can choose to have the best of both worlds. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas I feel sorry for some kids that, like, imagine the pressure now, you get to high school and you haven't got an iPhone.
Bro,
pressure, that's peak. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I didn't get my first phone until I was in like year 7 or 8. But that was normal and like that was decent. But like,
but nowadays
it wasn't a pressure though. It was just like,
I've seen people before now saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting the baby an iPhone for kids." Just The baby is 3. What the fuck's a baby got to do with an
and they've got on the
iPads?
and they're on TikTok all day, and they're these young kids. So in my mind, it's like we had the choice to either really want to, like as I said before, even with. Like, you really want to jump into it and just throw yourself in, or you can choose like I just want to be in the real world still and like take the real world benefits. Whereas I feel like for young people now, the pressure on them it's not even like conform anymore. That is their way of life.
That is their way of life.
They don't know another way of life. There's not another alternative for them.
Norm.
So if they want to be classed as normal, if they don't want to get bullied, and that's it. Like, you're the kid who doesn't have a group chat. You're getting terrorised by everybody else you don't even know.
You're just doing some nice subliminals there.
I know, You know what? Speaking of that, I think that's a nice way to end it, that was a good ending, not even mean to. But obviously we've had Marcel and Errol on the Front Left Podcast. Obviously,
you know what he said? Did you? Marcel and Errol.
The first and only time like that,
But he's from the Group Chat podcast. But obviously, you guys got anything to plug? Any individual stuff?
As I say, just check us out on the YouTube. There'll be more stuff coming this year. We've got some things that we in the pipelines that we're obviously looking to put out in the next couple of hopefully weeks. But as I say, we've got stuff up on YouTube at the moment, so go check us out on the Go Play Studios. Big up Kof every time as well, because the group chat without Kof, it wouldn't be. So every time, big up Kof and Go Play for what he's doing for Liverpool, the scene in terms of music. Anyone that's into the rap scene in Liverpool, anything like that, he's obviously putting on for all the artists and recording them as well. So shout out Go Play Studios. Get over to the Go Play Studios YouTube channel and check out some episodes and have a laugh.
Marcel, got anything to plug?
I'm going to plug Synergenetix, which is my clothing brand. I've slacked so heavily on it lately, gym wear.
Okay.
I'm also going to plug Bodyhealth Kitchen again. That's the reason why I've slacked on the Synergy brand. So, yeah, both of those, and both will be
check them on
the up in the next couple of months, yeah.
Okay, good. You, man, got anything to plug?
Nah, man. Got nothing to plug. Follow me. Follow Frontleft Pod today.
Follow you? You didn't even say your at.
That's it, really, man.
Josh_LFTS, if people don't know.
Josh lives in it.
Yeah, man. Trey, you got anything to plug?
Nah, just to follow the Frontleft Podcast, Frontleft on YouTube and Frontleft Pod on Twitter.
Yeah, man, that's us. Over and out.